As year one of the Kalen DeBoer era in Tuscaloosa, Alabama approaches, these are my best and worst case scenarios for the Crimson Tide in the 2024 football season. Hello, everyone. I'm Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that bell icon as well so you get notifications of when we go live and when we drop new video content, which is each and every single day. Also, guys, check out the podcast, which drops daily: iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us all across social media. And, of course, guys, stay up to date with the latest from us at our website, SECUnfiltered.com. The following is brought to you by our friends over at RHOBACK. Guys, head to RHOBACK.com. That's RHOBACK.com. And use the promo code SECU at checkout to get 20% off your entire first purchase. Guys, the weather's warming up. It's golf season. It's baseball season. Spring games are around the corner. It's tailgate season. Or, guys, even if you're just hanging out around the house, you're running errands, whatever it might be, RHOBACK is the way to go. And also, for all my golfers out there, in the spirit of Masters Week, they just dropped their Azalea collection. And, guys, when I tell you I've never been so fired up to receive a polo in the mail like I am, my Azalea polo, I mean it. Guys, their stuff is incredible. It's the softest material I've ever experienced. It's incredible. They've got polos. They've got quarter zips. They've got long sleeves. They got hoodies. They got pants. They got shorts. They even have women's apparel, so you can outfit yourself and everyone in your family as well. So, again, guys, RHOBACK.com, promo code SECU. That's RHOBACK.com, RHOBACK.com, promo code SECU at checkout to get 20% off your entire first purchase. Guys, we got a ways away until kickoff, right? Over 100 days. Spring games are upon us, but it's never too early to talk about the prospects of the season to come. So we're going to play a game. We're starting this series today. We're going to play a game. Best case scenario and worst case scenario. And today's topic of conversation is Kalen DeBoer and the Alabama Crimson Tide entering year one of his tenure in Tuscaloosa. Now, let me preface by saying this. When I say best case scenario and worst case scenario, it's not as simple as, well, the best case is 12-0 and the worst case is 0-12. These are realistic best and worst cases. What is the ceiling? What is the floor? So without further ado, guys, we're going to pull up the schedule here and take a look at what Kalen DeBoer's Alabama football team will face in the 2024 season, guys. And we'll start with the best case scenario, right? Let's start with the positive. Because I think, guys, you look at Alabama, and there's going to be a lot of question marks, obviously, coming in this season. Life after Nick Saban, right? There's new terminology. There's a new culture on the offensive, defensive side, the entire program, if you will. Heck, they're playing music at practices. They're allowing media to come out. There's a much different vibe and a much different feel down in Tuscaloosa. But here's the key. Here's the key. Even with the transfer portal, even with the roster turnover, even with a brand new coaching staff, the thing that has not changed for Alabama is this. They are still loaded with talent, right? You return Jalen Milroe at the quarterback position. That's a great place to start, right? You look offensively, defensively, there's still a lot of returning experience. You also look at what they did in the portal, right? Kalen DeBoer able to bring over some of his Washington guys, especially on the line of scrimmage and really all throughout the entire roster. Guys, when you look at the blue chip ratio, which we hear about that a lot in recruiting, right? And it basically just says the team that has the most good players wins the most games, and the team that has the best players wins championships. No duh, right? But when you look at Alabama, even with all the turnover, even with the overhaul, Alabama still ranks third in blue chip ratio entering the 2024 season. So long story short, they've got the talent if some things come together and if some things click early. And of course, if Alabama's able to beat Georgia in Tuscaloosa on Saturday, September the 28th, watch out. When I look at this schedule, the tough games, of course, guys, like I mentioned, don't sleep on that week 3 game at Wisconsin. That Georgia game, of course, is going to be the biggest game of the season and really Tell you what, you win that one, you kick off the Kalen DeBoer era in style. Who knows what this season can be? At Tennessee is tricky. At LSU, of course. Missouri coming to Tuscaloosa. That's one folks are circling as could be a potential upset. At Oklahoma, and of course, you close out with Auburn. My best case scenario for Alabama. Again, you have to keep in mind, still immensely talented. You've still got a guy in Jalen Milroe, guys, especially if he takes a step forward in Kalen DeBoer's offense. I think a guy that's even undervalued, right? What he did last year, we know the great athlete that he is, but also if he can take that next step forward and being an elite quarterback, right? Elite passer of the football, an elite decision maker, that Alabama offense could be scary. My best case scenario for Bama is 11-1. I don't think, guys, I think there's a good chance nobody gets through unscathed in the SEC this year. I will be stunned if we've got multiple SEC teams that are undefeated, right? With no more divisions, with no more, of the scheduling the old way it was. It's going to be really, really difficult with the difficulty of schedules to get through unscathed. And guys, 11-1 in year one of Kalen DeBoer would be a massively, massively successful season, right? But again, you look at that game against Georgia, you look at Tennessee, you look at LSU, you look at Oklahoma. Even if Alabama maximizes everything works out in their favor, for the most part at least, it does. Jalen Milroe takes that next step. The offensive line is much improved. The defense, right? New guys slide in, and it's an elite Alabama defense. The replacement of Caleb Downs in the back end, right? You have those freshmen that you signed that were fantastic players. They come in, their immediate impact, and they play to their full potential early. I still don't think it leads to an undefeated season just because, again, guys, there are so many opportunities for pitfalls in the SEC. It's just so tough, man. Again, I will be surprised if there are multiple undefeateds. Maybe we see a Georgia go undefeated, but you'll have to wait to that video until I tell you what the best case scenario is. But I wouldn't be surprised if there are no undefeateds in the SEC because it's so tough. So my best case scenario for Alabama in the 2024 season, year one of Kalen DeBoer, 11-1. Now, on the flip side, my worst case scenario for Alabama football. Now, this is assuming things like Jalen Milroe, maybe he regresses, right? Maybe the offensive line is not improved for whatever reason. The pieces just don't click. Maybe, just maybe, the task is greater for Kalen DeBoer than maybe even you and I realize. Maybe losing Caleb Downs is a bigger deficiency or a bigger task to replace than we realize, right? Because, guys, you come into a season, you can look at it this way. When you have expectations on certain players, position groups, what have you, some things are going to work out a little bit better than you expect. Some things are going to work out, they're not going to live up to expectations, going to work out worse than you expect. Some things are going to meet right at your expectations. What you got to hope and pray is that more things work out for the positive than they do the negative. This is assuming more work out, of course, for the negative. My worst case scenario for Alabama in year one of Kalen DeBoer, I've got 8-4, 4 losses for the Crimson Tide, which it's been a long time. I think since 2007 that Alabama experienced anything like that if they were to go 8-4. Now, again, guys, these are not predictions. I'm not locking in 11-1 or 8-4. This is best case, worst case. Worst case, I've got 8-4. So again, that would mean you lose to Georgia. Maybe you trip up at Tennessee. Maybe you trip up at LSU. I know they've had a lot of success in Baton Rouge, but that was Nick Saban. This is not. You got to go to Norman, Oklahoma. Heck, maybe Auburn gets you, right? Missouri's going to be tough, even though that game's in Tuscaloosa. And maybe, just maybe, Wisconsin on the road in week 3. Maybe that one's tricky. So 8-4 is my floor for Alabama. I don't see less than that. I'd be surprised if it went less than that. But this is a team over under win total in Vegas, 9.5. So Vegas has got you right there. They're going to go 9-3. Or they're going to go 10-2. I think the floor for Bama is 8-4. I think there's too much talent on this team to win any less than 8 games. But I do think 8-4 is in the cards as the worst case scenario for the Alabama Crimson Tide. So, guys, when you take a look at Alabama's schedule, what's your best case and worst case scenario for the Alabama Crimson Tide? Mine, the best case, 11-1. And the worst case, 8-4. Guys, that's going to do it all for me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that bell icon as well so you get notifications of when we go live and when we drop new video content, which is each and every single day. Also, guys, check out the podcast, which drops daily, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms and check out our website, SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, guys, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we'll catch you on the other side.